Let's take a look at how we can take an inexpensive Raspberry Pi 400 and connect it up to Windows 365 so that I can get a full Windows operating system accessible to Raspberry Pi users. Let's start up the Raspberry Pi 400 and then connect it to Windows 365 and see how that works for us. On the Raspberry Pi, the way that I'm going to get to my Windows 365 is through a web interface. Unfortunately, there's no downloadable client in order to do this. So I'm going to go in and just go into Windows365.com, and this will bring me to my account. You can see that I'm logging into the Windows 365 environment with the account that has the machine assigned to me. And you can see I have a machine here, 2 virtual CPUs, 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of storage. That's not a super powerful machine, but I have been testing it and it's been working fairly well for the applications that I'm using. I did have a machine before that was a little bit underpowered and I was pretty unimpressed with it, but with this machine I've been pretty happy, been able to do quite a bit. Now you will notice that up here I have the download a remote desktop. Unfortunately there's nothing here for Linux, so I'm going to go back to Windows 365, so we'll just go back to Windows 365. I'll see the machine here, and then I will open it in a web browser. Now, if I had the remote desktop client, I could use that URL that I had, and I could create a workspace connection. That's beyond the scope of this video, but here what we have is the local resources. I can go in and access this through the web interface. I'll enable file transfer, microphone, clipboard, so on. I can remember this for this computer, and we will allow this to occur. It required me to log in against that machine again, and you can see that now I have a Windows 10 machine running through Windows 365. I was working with Excel in a previous demo that I did, so I pick up exactly where I left off. So I could go in, I won't bother saving that spreadsheet, but I have Excel on there. You can see that I had Power BI Desktop that I was using on here as well. And you can see this gives me access to some features that I might not have on the Raspberry Pi. Well, I'm not going to be running Windows Power BI Desktop on a Raspberry Pi, but I can connect up to 365 and take advantage of any Windows programs that I can remotely control from here. The nice thing is, if something happens to the Raspberry Pi, if it gets stolen, broken, or if I lose it, I still have this machine in the cloud, and I don't lose any of my work that was in the cloud. So by working here and doing everything on this Windows 365 machine, I am also protecting all my data because it is living on the Microsoft data center. Of course, the topic that comes up quite often is how much does it cost to run Windows 365? And it is about $40 Canadian per month, which is almost the cost of the Raspberry Pi itself. That being said, if you do need a Windows machine, running something for $40 a month for, say, a semester, 6 months or so, might be a lot less expensive than buying a laptop, and you do get that flexibility of being able to go from device to device, logging into your account, and just having everything reside in the cloud in one spot, so that if something does go wrong with one of your devices, you're not losing any of the work that you've been doing for that semester. So there you have a Raspberry Pi connecting to Windows 365, extending the functionality of the Raspberry Pi even further. An inexpensive device, a useful tool in the cloud. It all comes together for better education.